Why do we have the most ill-mannered and badly behaved drivers in the whole bloody world? Private vehicle ownership has exploded exponentially in India over the last 30 to 40 years. While less than 1% of Indian families owned cars in the early 1990s, the percentage has gone up to 8 to 10% in recent times. This may be a minuscule percentage compared to 91.7% for American households that own at least one vehicle, affirming are being firmly in the developing nation category, but the hubris displayed on the roads across Indian cities and towns by these Johnnies come lately is appalling. It seems no rules apply to Indian car drivers. The bigger the car is, the fewer the rules that apply. The recent rash of incidents involving drivers of the almighty and all-conquering Mahindra Thar SUVs is a case in point. There is utter scorn for speed limits, with cars driven by rank nutcases tearing down the narrow roads and streets of residential areas and societies with gay abandon. People often, regardless of age and sex, drive like they have a Grand Prix race to win or are participating in the shooting of a car chase in a Hollywood thriller. Woe betide the poor genteel soul driving at a reasonable speed of 40 to 50 kilometers an hour if they come in the way of these speed devils. The fiends in their mean machines will honk so loudly that you will get a heart attack. Why, they might even swerve their car to a stop right ahead of yours after overtaking you, forcing you to stop as well and brace for a face-to-face confrontation with them, which might not end well for you. Discretion is the better part of valor for most average people who drive a car only to get from point A to B and are not trying to prove any point. Things seem to get worse with every passing year, as evidenced by the fact that people think nothing of driving against the flow of traffic if it saves them some time, never mind the jams and chaos that they cause in doing so. This is a phenomenon that is witnessed even on the new expressways that get inaugurated with alarming regularity these days. What is behind the fact that our drivers are so obviously uncultured and even uncouth these days? Things weren't so bad 3 to 4 decades back, when there were far fewer people who could afford to own and drive cars. There were only the stately ambassadors, premier Padmanis and standards on the roads, driven gently by people who were so much better behaved and civilized than most of today's drivers. There were long delays in the delivery of cars bought by people those days, as these needed to be booked in advance and one had to patiently wait for one's turn to come. Maybe their patience developed on account of waiting and waiting for the elusive car keys to land in their hands. Apart from government officials who were officially given cars for their transportation needs, most car owners came from amongst high-ranking private sector employees, business people, officers in the armed forces and professionals like doctors and chartered accountants. These were the creme de la creme of society, not necessarily in terms of wealth, but certainly in terms of social mores, and it showed in the way that they drove their cars. As the nation slowly becomes wealthier, the number of people who can afford cars has gone up significantly, but sadly what has been lost is good manners, decency, decorum, and the right set of values required when driving on a road shared with people. This is witnessed not just in the way that many people drive, but also in the way that they behave when they travel anywhere as tourists. Talking loudly, throwing trash anywhere and everywhere like it is nobody's business, acting entitled and picking up fights at will defines such worthies. No wonder that people are throwing up their hands in horror from Uttarakhand and Himachal Pradesh back home to Vietnam, Thailand, and nation after nation around the world. People need to understand that something like driving can be a pleasure if carried out in a civilized manner. Follow the rules, don't be aggressive, and spare a thought for others driving on the road. If you are a genuine car buff, then take pride in your knowledge about different kinds of cars on the roads in terms of what brand they are, the kind of power they generate, what kind of fuel they use, their mileage and other features. Become a member of the Beetle Cars group or take part in a classic or vintage car rally. There is a whole global culture built around cars that you can choose to be proud of. Check out former late-night TV host Jay Leno's private car collection online, for example, and learn about cars. Blasting loud and rustic music with bawdy lyrics meant to disturb and driving like a deranged lunatic at top speed to terrify everybody on the road is not the way to be. Time to grow up.